an exposure lock. That's it.
Cool. All right, Joe, there seems to have been a surprising number of questions about your white balance when shooting in P mode.
AWB, auto white balance. I leave everything there. Sometimes, most of the time, I find that when I'm in weddings, it's mixed lighting. It is, tungsten, it's fluorescent, it's incandescent, all mixed together. Colored gel lights, uplighting that they have, pin spotting on tables, it's all over the map. So for me to do a custom white balance and in the way that I shoot, and then point somewhere where it's strictly tungsten or fluorescent lighting, maybe the ice sculpture is just all fluorescence, it just messes everything up. So what we do is it's post-production. It is a change in white balance in post-production, and it's actually simple to do. You can do it in batches. If everything around the same area, 5, 10, 15 shots are similar, looking down the same pipe and having the same kind of lighting, that's a batch post. Okay, let's say it's a mixed bag, and darn, the light is simply ugly. There's a click of the button that says black and white. Bye-bye. We go to black and white. So instead of trying to do a custom white balance for me, again, I'm trying to find shortcuts to be quicker at capturing moments and not sacrificing the quality of the image. My clients, because they see in my pitch a lot of black and white work, when they book me, they like to see the black and white stuff as well. So when I change an image that I give to my client online through Pictage and it's black and white, sometimes it's to give them an idea what the black and white version will be from the color. Sometimes it was a really ugly color shot and it's gone black and white.
Cool. Eduardo from Brazil is asking, when you're in P mode, do you use the auto ISO as well to help in the light situations?
No. Someone else suggested that to me. I haven't gone down that road yet, Eduardo. I have absolutely, it's manual controls on my ISO. I dial in all my ISO. And for the sake of when I do go to M and manual in the reception area and I'm bouncing light, I need to manually control my ISO. So another thing to forget or not add on when I'm in auto ISO and turn it off is I got to dial these things in manually. So that's the only time that I will utilize the 3 buttons to control everything, f-stop, shutter speed, and ISO. So I've never really, and I think at some level it makes sense to have auto ISO. I just haven't used it. I've really figured out how this system that I'm working with now, how I've been able to dial that in, how well that works for me, and I'm very happy right here.
Okay, another technical question from Awin Photo, who says, that you said you shoot in lower RAW settings. What if the clients want a large wall portrait if you've got a lower RAW? And I mean, doesn't it tend to be really grainy?
Here's what we've been managing to do. So small RAW on my Canon 5D Mark II is 10 megapixels. If they want a larger print, then recently I had one client wanting a 36 by 40 or 30 by 40 canvas. Very rare that happens. I usually don't go above 11 by 14. But let's say this client wanted a 30 by 40 canvas, and clearly the small RAW, by the time I give them JPEGs, are about 5 megs, not big enough. So I take that same RAW file and convert to TIFF. Once I have a TIFF file, I got 30 to 40 megabytes on a TIFF file. That's plenty. And that goes 30 by 40 very easily. One of the reasons I don't go to the higher RAW files, which are 21 megapixels, is the storage space, the amount of time of post-processing. It's huge, and I rarely get that client that wants a wall portrait that's 30 by 40. I just don't get them.
Cool. There were a lot of questions earlier that we weren't able to address. Is it okay if we kind of reverse some of the questions and go back?
Sure.
Okay, Tara V Photo had a question, and quite a few people were wondering about your assistant. Do you require your assistant primary shooter to shoot with the same camera type you use, or do they use their own
He uses a Nikon
equipment?
Again, everybody shoots differently and has different equipment, has different mindsets, and he shoots with Nikon, and I used to shoot Nikon, so it's not about a Nikon Canon versus issue versus so it's what's he comfortable with. He's a total Nikon shooter. Good for him. As long as the images that come back speak of what he can do, why I hired him, I'm fine with whatever he shoots. And what I look for in a primary shooter is someone that shoots the opposite of me. In other words, I want someone that's thrilled to death to shoot setups and formals. This guy, Rich, in particular, that's who I'm using now, he's excited. He's a total people person. He's an actor, you know, he's waiting for his big break. I hope he gets it. But he loves people, so he's in there and he sets them up, and he's got his flash off camera. He's got his camera here for fill light if it's outdoors. Inside, he's got it full tilt boogie. Sometimes he bounces it. He bounces this way, that way. But he's directing, and that's who he is. He's not going to look for the same thing that I look for. So when I interview people, I interview them to get someone who is opposite of what I want to shoot. I want to shoot moments, capture some beautiful details, and I want someone else the opposite of me, and that's to shoot what mom wants, which are usually table shots, comfortable doing it, that likes doing it, who interacts with people, who makes them feel comfortable. That's who he's. Perfect blend.
All right, this question is also going back to earlier in the day. A couple people had this question, including 3D photography and APR Melton. What would you charge for the day in the life type session that you talked about earlier? And he's from Las Vegas.
Yeah, so what you do for the day of, you make the session not so much too expensive, but let's say $4,000 to shoot for the day, $4,000. Now the book is of value. So now you can actually, you know, the book could be $4,000 or $5,000. So in essence, for the day, you'd probably get 8 or 9. And that's where I'd be with that. I do the shooting session kind of on the low side. And without fail, I mean, this is why they would book me, is I would show them these little scenarios or these little books with a whole day in the family life kind of thing. And that's why they would hire me. So again, I'm pitching an experience. I'm now the experience of this particular book to pass down from generation to generation, right? So they're not all of a sudden deciding, and they may just decide to get some prints as well, but they got sold on the whole book idea. So the idea is that that's what I pitch, that's what they'll buy. So you go in on not too high of a, you know, this again is usually midweek. I don't do them on weekends. It's always midweek, because weekends are weddings, and I don't interfere with those. So it's a Wednesday, it's a Thursday, sometimes it's a Friday, it's all good. And it's maybe $4,000 to go do the whole day from morning till night, and then I rely on the sale of the albums. Sometimes it's multiple books, because grandparents want it. So you're looking at 3 books, you know. Having had Steven Spielberg hire me a couple times, birthday party, I think we sold, I want to say 4 or 5 albums at about $4,000 a piece. So my sales are in the album part of it at this point for that. For weddings, it's not so much. It's creative input for the day of. That's fee-based.
Cool. Going back a little bit to the second shooter, Jay Frost and a couple others were actually wondering, when you have a second shooter, do you have them sign an agreement with working with you, and who owns the photos?
Yeah. Okay, there's a couple things about, and we'll, you know, on the third day we'll talk about copyright intellectual property. But you're making a big mistake if you're a studio and you hire a second shooter and not lock them in on a contract. Because I don't know about the other states. State of California is whoever clicks the shutter is the copyright owner unless they sign a work for hire. Okay? Now, with my clients, I don't do work for hires. So they know that. Having said that, I also, while I stand on the copyright, I allow them to do whatever they want with their images. And when it comes to clients that are my celebrity clients, it is, you know, from the beginning, there's a 3-page contract you all will get. But with celebrities, it's oftentimes 10 to 15 pages deep, because attorneys are now involved. And I understand their privacy issues. Selling the images of a celebrity can make you a lot of money, so they're very well aware of that, and I understand that. With second shooters, this scenario could have happened to me. It hasn't. I've had really good people working with me. But let's just say I've hired a second shooter, and he grabs an amazing moment, and he says, I own the copyright, I shot it, because I didn't bind him with a contract to the studio, right? And all of a sudden the client sees his image of theirs online and goes, what? And then comes after me because I never gave you permission for that. You know, you never ran it by me. And the thing is, what I have, the agreement with my clients are this, is before I will do anything with the images, I will ask your permission. Even though I own the copyright, I will absolutely honor privacy. So if there's images that you really don't want me to show that are private to you, and first of all, I will be very select in what I pick, and so really private moments I may not use anyway. Some are just really beautiful, you know, Leanne with a tear running down her face. That could be considered a private moment, but she loved it. I loved it. It was very powerful. And she said, okay, but I asked her first. I ask all my clients first. So let's say that second shooter decides, I own the copyright, I'm just going to run with it. Well, that puts me in hot water. So what I do with my second shooters / primary shooters is they sign an agreement with me that the studio ultimately owns the copyright. But with my client's permission, I will allow the second shooter to take their images and use them for their own portfolio, for their own websites, because I expect them to eventually go out on their own. So I'm not going to try and make them beholding to me that they should be locked in with Joe Busink and, you know, I can never use these images. No, you can. I will absolutely let my second shooters use images with my client's permission. And the only way I can control that is if I take the copyright away. But they have total use of images if client says okay. So my second shooters, I have these amazing photos. I'd like to use them for my website. And they're doing maybe a few weddings on the side by themselves. I said, let me see the images. And we'll put them up online. I will contact my client. Could you please take a look? This is my second shooter stuff. Are you okay with him using these photos for his personal website, for his business? And they'll say most of the time, yeah, sure, it's fine. So yeah, you can use it.
That's a very respectful system you have in place there.
It works really, really well. And
fair.
Every one of my second shooters, without question, said, no, that's not a problem. You know, and they're actually thankful that I let them use, because a lot of the studios in LA, as a second shooter, you can't use any photos taken on that studio's gig. You're a second shooter. You're hired as a work for hire. You let go of the images. None. They're not yours.
Yeah, it's very generous, especially with Hollywood and famous people to have pictures of those people on their website.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, Lay W Photog from South Florida asked, do you scope out locations ahead of time for weddings, or do you just see the shots as they happen, and did you ever do that when you first started?
When I first started, I scoped out all the locations. As a nervous little Nelly, I wanted to make sure at 3 o'clock on Saturday, I would go out Friday at 3 o'clock to see where the light fell everywhere. I made notes. But what does it make me do? Have to think, right? So now I love finding the light. And lo and behold, I'm one of those people that works best under pressure. Right? I really thrive on it. So when I walk into a situation and the light absolutely stinks, man, I start panicking a little bit, but that just gets my juices running to where I have to find a light and I improvise. It's all about trying to work out of the box and trying to, you know, work these scenarios that you usually, as a photographer, try and control. So now I'm a little out of control. I really work really good out of control. So no, I don't look at venues at all. I literally, in the moment, will find the light.
All right, one last question for the day.
Shoot away.
Ready? And this was from earlier this morning, from P2 Carey. How do you remain calm during the wedding and not feel like you're rushed to capture every moment? Do you have a list you go by, or do you just capture those moments as they present themselves?
Drugs.
Excellent.
Yeah, lots of drugs. No, it's funny because I make a joke about that when I see the bride. When I first walk into the bride getting ready room, usually there's a little bit of anxiety. The energy is a little anxious because she's thinking ahead and all that stuff. And I'll walk up to her as she's a little nervous looking into the mirror, and the girls are all talking around. There's all this chaos going on. I said, I'm here. I brought lots of Valium for you. Most of it's for me right now because I'll need it. But if you need to slip Mom a little piece of it because she's bugging the heck out of you, I'll happily slip something into her drink. Humor. Humor breaks the ice like nothing else. And she'll laugh, and all of a sudden I'll see her shoulders kind of like sink a little. And I've had her come back, and the bride say to me, oh my God, thank you so much for that. I so needed to. And then I take a little control of maybe moving that loud chaos into another room, because that woman, that bride, she's mine that day, and she's the most beautiful woman on earth on that planet, next to my wife. She's first and always will be. But for me, that bride, I don't care what she looks like, is the most beautiful woman on earth that day. and I want to make sure she stays that way. So if I see chaos around her, I help remove it a little bit. Do you mind if I tell the girls to just sit out there? You look a little anxious. Oh, no, I was just thinking that. Thank you. Can you do that? Sure, absolutely. So I don't really, I get butterflies before every wedding, but the butterflies are about, what am I going to see today? What am I going to feel today? At 17 years later, I still get that. I will get worried when I don't feel those things before going to a wedding. Am I nervous or pressured? No. No, because every wedding to me, bar none, all have moments in it. And they're all different. And there isn't one wedding that I've been to in 17 years that I haven't found some beautiful moments. So I'm never nervous about that. Most of mine is just pre-anxious stuff about, oh my gosh, what is it today? You know, what is my juicy portfolio piece that I'm going to come away with? I, to this day, 17 years later, print from every wedding some images. I have stacks and stacks. I have a storage unit with nothing but matted prints from day one to now because I continue to print. And eventually I'll revisit it and look through them again. Oh my God, I remember this. I remember this moment. The feeling's coming right back. You know, and that ultimately, folks, that's what you want your clients to get out of what you do. You want them to feel that wedding all over again like it was yesterday. And it could be 30 years down the road, but like yesterday.
Wow. Laundry in LA, I think, says it perfectly. Please thank Joe for his generosity of sharing. Awesome guy.
You're welcome.
And I know that everyone here, you have touched so much and sharing with all of us. So I know I speak for everybody on the internet and in both rooms here when I say thank you so much for reminding us to feel and to share that feeling with our clients. So.
Very welcome. Thank you. Cool. Woohoo!
They're clapping around the world. Just
Yay! Yay! And just, you know, so you know, I mean, don't forget the instructor learns as well. Every time I do a workshop, I pick up stuff from the students, from the bride who's a model. I always find out something. I learn from them as well. So it's like, you know, a positive. It's pluses all the way around. So it's really cool. It's really cool. So I thank you guys all too. And the questions were brilliant.
Good.
Thank you.
Well, it's not over yet, folks. We have 2 more days.
Yay!
This is only day one.
Yeah, a lot to look forward to. So a couple messages before we leave you today. Another reminder that Lee Veris will be here next weekend, and we still have a few seats available for our in-studio audience. We'd love you guys to come be a part of Creative Live in the studio. Completely different experience. Amazing to be actually front and center there, learning in person. So come be part of the workshop. That is next weekend, and there will be links in the chat room, probably dropped in right now, that you can follow in order to apply. And that is really for Seattle locals only. So if you're in the Seattle area, come be part of Creative Live.
Awesome.
Cool.
And Joe was talking to us this weekend about more than just wedding photography. It's not just packing the right lenses, the right camera body, having the right gear in your bag. It's about the experience. It starts long before the wedding. It's an investment of yourself and feeling and being open to the experience and going through that experience with your clients and then capturing it and reminding them later so that they continue sharing and feeling those same moments in their important day again and again and again. So I think if we were, you know, we're kind of on that same experience and journey here in Creative Live. This is the first day of 3, and if we were looking at a wedding album, we have closed the Getting Ready chapter today. And tomorrow we're going to have a whole new feeling and a whole new experience about how to capture the wedding ceremony. And we're going to learn so much more. And on top of that, Joe has been so generous in giving everyone who purchases this course the downloadable PDF of his contract. And remember, this was Steven Spielberg's attorney went over this contract, added to it. And so this is just an amazing, amazing gift and is invaluable. And I mean, attorneys charge hundreds of dollars an hour to go over over contracts. And then on top of that, you have again been generous and you're sharing your price list with us and how you work through all of that. So all of you who are wondering about those questions, purchase the course. It's only $99. it's just a no-brainer, just so easy to do. It's invaluable, and there's going to be an amazing experience, and we're all thankful to be here. So do that today, and we will see you tomorrow morning early at 9 a.m. Thanks.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Lee Veras. I'd like to invite you to join me for a special live event at Creative Live, August 16th through 18th. I'm going to be sharing my process for creating a beauty portrait and a figure study, start to finish, including lighting, photographing, and retouching. You'll see everything in a no-holds-barred, all secrets revealed session. Learn how Hollywood professionals create compelling photos of just about anybody. Want to join me in the studio audience? Send us a video. Show us why you need to be part of the experience. And you'll get a chance to join me live at Creative Live.
Hi, I'm Ben Wilmore, and I want to invite you to a free class I'm having on August 22nd through the 24th. It's Photoshop for photographers. That's where I'll be covering only techniques that are absolutely essential to photographers. I will not cover any fluff. I'm not going to go through every preference that exists. I'm only going to talk about things like adjusting and optimizing your images. I'll show you how I do things like directing the viewer's eye to a particular part of your image by controlling how bright it is or where it's the most sharp. I'll also cover essential techniques like HDR, panorama stitching, black and white conversion, sharpening, why, if you have skin tones in your image you want to sharpen differently. I'll also cover retouching. Now this is free only while it's live, which is August 22nd through the 24th. You're going to really learn a lot, regardless of your user level, and it's going to be focused purely on photography and the absolute essentials of Photoshop. So come join me August 22nd through the 24th at creativelive.com. Hi, I'm Ben Wilmore, and I want to invite you to a free online class that I'll be giving on August 25th on light painting. I consider light painting to be one of the most creative photography outlets that are there. This is where you start off with a dark scene. You set up your camera on a tripod, and during a long exposure, you walk in and light the scene using a household flashlight. That way you can control exactly how bright every area is. If you want to draw your eye somewhere, you just paint light in there a little longer. It'll be the brightest part, your eye will be drawn straight to it. You want a boring background to disappear, don't put any light on it. With this, I'm going to show you how different light sources will produce different results, how you can think about lighting people, because they're special. If they move, they're going to be blurry, that kind of stuff. And I'm going to show you the digital refinements that are essential to creating an amazing looking image. Now just so you know, you don't have to be Picasso to do light painting. If you can draw a stick figure, you can light paint. So come join me August 25th at creativelive.com for a free class on light painting.
Hi, I'm Sue Bryce.
And I'm Simona Yannick.
And we are coming back to Creative Live
from August 27th to the 31st. We've got 2 days full of hair and makeup tuition.
and 3 days of live shooting.
So that's 5 days packed full of information, and we've also got some amazing giveaways.
Remember, Creative Live is a free online classroom that you can watch anywhere in the world. So jump online now to Creative Live and register on our course page. We need you to record a video telling us why you would like to join us on Creative Live as part of our team for a whole week. Upload it to Vimeo or Facebook and then tweet it to @CreativeLive with the hashtag SueLive so that we can choose 5 of you to join our team and join us for a whole week in Seattle.
The video is due August 6th, so make sure you send it in before and remember to register on the course page.
We look forward to seeing you in Seattle.
So if I see that this guy's